and welcome back to the Dynamic Duo podcast, presented by this fuckwit Kanan Wolf and the nice man over there, MMA King Creature Jr., Danny.
What's going on, folks? How y'all guys
So
doing?
if you can't tell what the video is going to be about today, it's going to be about The Penguin Episode 1. So, yes, we're back in Gotham, just as promised. So, today, we're going to be talking about Episode 1. Do we like it? What do we rate it? Is it pish? Let's find out. So, I'll let Danny go first, as I'm intrigued in hearing all his thoughts first, and then I'll go last. So, Danny, sir, take it away.
So, man, I actually like this show. Surprisingly, I actually like this show. I mean, for the latest stuff that's been coming out in, Hollywood, this one is actually a sign of relief of they get it. It's like a mafia type of show, and I'm a sucker for that. So, it has a couple of similar things like The Sopranos, which I like. If you guys haven't watched that show before, go check that out. Arguably one of the best shows in television history. Shout out to my boy RJ. But yeah, man, I enjoyed every last minute of this. Me and my friends, we were watching it on Discord or whatever, and yeah, man, yeah, like almost every single one of everybody said like this was finally a good show, and I agree.
Yeah, well, to be fair, that's what happens when Mattreeves is involved. You know, it's actually a decent thing. But anywho, moving on from that fact, for me, when I watched this, I watched it on my own. I watched it, I think it was on my phone, actually, if I remember correctly. And I wanted to see what it was all about. I was intrigued because, you know me, I love the Penguin character. I love Batman. And I was surprisingly shocked. Yeah, I would be in the same boat. It's a good show. There's not much I can really nitpick on it, to be honest. There's not much I could say really against it. Like, the beginning of the episode, obviously, is like, you know, the fallout after what happened at the end of the first Batman. Oswald has been, you know, going back to his lounge to basically steal all the shit that used to belong to Falcone. And obviously,
Yeah,
you know, his son Alberto shows up and is like, I'm the big player now. I'm going to take back my stuff. He's like, aye, that's fine.
yeah,
You can do that. I like the fact that he's not outright like, I'm a gangster. He does it secretly.
yeah,
That's the sort of aspect I like about his character in this time around, is that he's not trying to enforce himself onto people. He's just doing it secretly and fucking with their heads. And I think that's a really interesting take on him. It's true to the character. You know, everybody seems to forget, like, the original portrayal of this character is that, yeah, he doesn't look like much. He's very much, people mocked him
he's a
and made
mob.
him.
Yeah, he's a
He's a
mob. He's a
mobster.
mob boss. Yeah,
He's a mobster that
or
gets everybody else to do his dirty work, and he pretends like he
yeah,
has no fucking clue on what the fuck's happening. So
he
obviously,
plays stupid.
yeah, it plays stupid. So what ends up happening is, obviously, you know, Alberto gets a bit too cheeky, and, you know, he goes, you know what, this motherfucker has to be in the ground, so he shoots him dead.
Yeah, he made fun of
And
him.
yeah, makes fun of him, and then tries to dispose of him, but then finds a bunch of hooligans trying to take his wheels off his car. A little callback to Jason Todd, by the way, if no one noticed that. They done a wee callback to the boy
A
Jason Todd. The kid that was trying to steal his wheels, he's like, I need you for a disposal mission. Takes the kid hostage, basically, and just drives him.
yeah,
Drives with him to basically like a garbage disposal thing, you know.
yeah.
And he's like, tell me why I shouldn't wreck you right now so you don't go and grasp on me. He's like, I can work for you. I can help you and stuff.
I can work for you. Like it's like
Yeah,
that's what saves his life because he's handicapped too. He has a lips or whatever. Like he stutters a
yeah,
lot or whatever. And just going based off of this penguin, I know there's like a couple of comic books. If you make fun of this sort of penguin, like and or if you're handicapped, he has like a soft spot for people that are handicapped or whatever.
mm,
And so I think they're going this route. It's not going to be your how can I say Danny Levito,
mm,
Burgess Meriden type of penguin. You're going to
yeah,
get more of a mobster but slash a dude with the code type of penguin in here, which I don't have a problem with. However, you know, it's okay to go away from the comments within reason. Within
yeah.
reason.
See, see, for me, one of the things that I did like about the show was the fact that, ironically, they gave him the penguin waddle. They actually gave him a penguin
Yeah,
waddle, and they explain it in a very good way. It just clearly shows that,
yeah.
his foot got
He got
fucked up.
scrapped.
We don't
Yeah.
know how it got fucked up, but his foot got fucked up. So
Hmm.
I wonder if they will touch upon
So
on how that happens, but maybe it was in the
I
accident with
think
Batman.
they're
I don't know, but it makes sense for him to finally have the iconic waddle. The thing about this as well is that I would argue now, even though I know some people will be like, "Nah, this is bullshit." I would say Colin Farrell is now my favorite Penguin simply because he is one of these actors that has understood the assignment, didn't wanted to give the fans what they wanted, and he's nailing it. He's not sitting
yeah,
trying to make it his own version. He's trying to keep it true to within the character, but also having like unique aspects that obviously come from Matt
yeah,
Reeves' point of view, and obviously the showrunners and the
yeah.
story writers as well. And that's what makes this more interesting to me because apparently him and Danny DeVito, because they do a very, very popular show together. Um,
Oh, they be
have
going
been
at it
fighting over.
like
Well,
who's the better penguin?
yeah, they've been having a battle of who's the better penguin. Danny DeVito always says his penguin's the best. I would argue not really. He was good for what he was, but he's not the penguin. I know people would argue, but that's the way he was in the animated series. And I'm like, yeah, they based it off of his portrayal. The original penguin's never been like that. And to be fair, it's not. It was good for what it is. I do like it, but I like a more grounded, realistic penguin than I do one with like penguin
See,
hands and having penguin armies.
okay, so like on that, like to be fair, because during that Burden slash Schumacher run, like they were mostly just more darker versions of the '66 version. No one doesn't want to acknowledge that part, but like it's the truth. Like if you want to try to be dark and edgy, if you want to be, but like they're just more upper grade dark versions of like the 1966 Batman.
Yeah,
And once again,
that's fair.
me and you have said this before. You guys gotta understand there's always been a comical side to Batman. Batman has always been like a
Mhm.
somewhat wacky type of characters. We're just getting out into this dark thing, like, but I
Yeah, see,
digress. It's
the
about
thing that
Penguin.
I'll always say as well is, as much as I do love like more like this version of Penguin, the darker, edgy Batman has sort of run its course for someone like me. Like that's why I'm hoping in Batman 2, fingers crossed, we see my favorite boy Wonder, the one that I like to put myself as is Dick
Yeah,
Grayson, is because I've seen dark Batman and it's good, it's fun, but let's be real. If we're going to go off of what this character sort of more based off, if you played the Arkham games, this is Oswald Cobblepot from those games. He's like the
yeah,
guy. He's like the version of him from Gotham Knights. It's a mobster that makes himself look silly,
yeah,
makes himself look horrible. Like he makes himself
yeah,
seem like he's a dumbass and goes, "I don't know what's going on. Well, like somebody help me," sort of thing. But behind the scenes, he's controlling it all, and that's what I like about that sort of take because it's became more of the synonymous take with the Penguin than being "Ha ha! I caught you, silly Batman! Ha 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 ha!" Like that's fun and all, but I
yeah,
know a lot of our friends, they're not the biggest fan of those takes, but the thing people need to remember is that it's awesome having a dark and edgy Batman series. Of course it is. But people forget that Superman, Batman, hell, Spider Man, they all came from the same bread and cloth. They were a bit goofy, they were a bit silly, they were, you know, gee, Willikers, Batman,
relax,
like that existed.
relax,
It's
have
not,
fun, have fun with
yeah,
it, man. Like,
let people have their fun, okay? I totally understand why people hate that take. It's like, well, it's silly, it's goofy. And it's like, well, that's what the comic books were then. Once they started getting into the early 90s, early 2000s, that's when we got this version of Batman. This is when we got the version of the characters we love most, okay? Totally understand that. So seeing a show like this, where this keeps its sense of humor, but it's a darker sense of humor, it fits more within the realm of, the show itself, I think is a very
yeah,
good thing to do because a lot of these shows
yeah,
these days either they try to be too edgy and then try to add jokes on them and then they just don't land, or they try to go too
yeah,
jokey but the serious moments don't land. Where this is like Danny said, it's more like a Soprano type show. I wouldn't say it's better because I've not watched all of Sopranos, and from what I've seen, I really like that. So it'd be a bit hard to say I like this more than Sopranos,
Yeah.
but what I would say is a great start to the show. So hopefully it stays that way throughout the entire show. I have good trust within the writers, within the director, and within Matt Reeves that this will hopefully end. What I'm thinking they're going to do is end it just before the Batman 2 starts, because it makes sense after
Well, that's
Batman.
what Matt Reeves already said or whatever. He said like spoiler alert or whatever. Like he said like this is go like the Penguin, like once it's done, it's gonna be like right before the winter, like when
Mhm.
winter is coming towards Gotham, but it won't be set up in like New Year's or Christmas or whatever. So yeah. So
Oh,
most likely we
they could be
might.
borrowing from Arkham Origins then. Arkham
Yeah.
Origins was the only Batman thing that was ever set during like the Christmassy time. It never was a Christmas game or that, but it was during that.
Yeah.
And that makes a lot of sense because in that game it was only supposed to be like year 3 or year 4 Batman.
So
So
like right now we're in November, like November-ish, like the beginning of November or whatever.
yeah.
Like if we're like looking at the timeline, because like it was just Halloween, like in the Batman or whatever. Like it was like on a Tuesday or whatever. But yeah,
That makes me very excited then, because that means that this could borrow some aspects. They could borrow some aspects from the Arkham Origins games. Obviously, they can't do the original
yeah,
storyline because obviously the Joker in this universe has been established and has been around a wee bit longer. But what they could
yeah,
borrow, and the thing that I would be happy to see, is they could bring Bane back, because Bane was in that game. Bane,
yeah,
Deathstroke, all of them were introduced in that game. So that leaves a lot of opening for them to do a lot of Batman rogue gallery that we've maybe not seen before. And as we all know, Matt Reeves doesn't want to go going back to the old villains. That's why I'm happy that we're seeing a decent Penguin in a Batman franchise, other than obviously Danny DeVito all those years ago, because it sets him up to be an actual villain as well. You know, it's not like he's going to be like
yeah,
a backseat villain. He's going to be a B tier villain most likely, but he's
yeah,
always going to be there in the background. So Batman's going to have to focus on enemy A over here, but also worry about enemy B
yeah,
over here. And that makes it more great, because that's what he's doing in the games and the comics, is that he's not always just going after one foe. He's got to deal with multiple. And I think that would be
yeah,
really cool to see going forward. So I hope
S-
that they go somewhere along those lines like that. But getting back to this show, the thing that I liked
mhm.
most about it, it was that it didn't come across cheesy. It didn't come across, oh, we're gonna do our own
Overly
thing and make
serious.
it,
Yeah,
and it's not gonna be like, oh, the Penguin, like loses a leg and he's a handicapped person now and all this sort of stuff. They don't
yeah,
try to like divert from the story. It's very coherent. The fact that it follows on from the Batman exactly as well is something I really like, because a lot of the times when they try to do these TV shows, they don't tend to try
they
tie them
ignore
into the
continuity.
movies. They just
Yeah,
do them separately. That I could argue, if they do this right, they could beat Marvel, because the Marvel TV shows at the minute suck ass. The movies suck ass.
they
But if we get stuff like this, and they do something maybe with Superman or something, and go into the proper DCU, right? Fingers crossed, they could take the win for a change. They could sway the
well,
tide, because if they can do good movies
sh-
and good shows at the same time, running coherently with the story, and it all makes sense and adds up, and there's no annoying timeline problems or multiverse problems,
yeah.
they have the chance to
Well,
take the cake.
that's well, once again, shout out to RJ, the GOAT. Me and him talked about this before, plenty of times. He's a big Batman expert too, or whatever, out of
Mhm.
all of us too, or whatever. If you guys
We
want to
need to
talk
bring him
about
on
Batman
again for a
information,
Batman
you
one.
yeah, for sure. If you guys want to talk about Batman information, you can always hit up me, Adam, or RJ. Like we'll get we don't know everything, but we know a lot. So that's
Yep.
all. Yeah, stay humble or whatever. But we were saying like that was the one thing that DC always had on Marvel. Listen, whereas Marvel has to stay on this like big old like setup for one big old cohesive universe and multiverses. DC, you can kind of like do your own thing a little bit, because like you can they're not afraid of like making a character dark or edgy or like really campy too at the same time or whatever. Like
Mhm.
you just say it's a different universe or whatever. And with this, I do agree for the Matt Reeves universe or whatever, or just you want to just see DC get a win. the Penguin, the Penguin in the Batman franchise is the way. Now, does the Batman have some problems and things like that? Is it the perfect movie? Of course not. I mean, my classic 8 out of 10, you could probably find it somewhere and everything, but but other than that, I like where this is going, and one of my favorite parts in this show is that the mom for Oz, that's where he gets his courage from. He said, like, did they make fun of you? Well, stop being a wussy and like get back up and get back out there. Like, she, the mama about that paper, man. Like, she a gangster, dude.
That mama about that life, you know. That's what I'm
She's
saying. It's
Tony
like stuff like
Soprano's
this.
mom.
This is what I'm saying. This is what I like to see. This is a refreshing take. Yeah, is it still within the line of the darker, edgier stuff? Yeah, but it's done right in a sense where I can really enjoy it. Where it's not like, oh,
It's not corny or
here we go again.
cheesy.
Yeah,
It's not corny or
the thing.
cheesy.
It's one. It's one of these things where I want more of this in
Mm-hmm.
my superhero stuff. If we're going to do superhero stuff, make it close to the original, but take wee spins and twists. Don't just blatantly do everything to make it a completely different take. Say it's a different universe. Like the thing is that I've always got annoyed at is that I would argue, right? DC has always had better TV shows in the sense of they get closer to the characters. Sometimes one of
Mm-hmm.
my favorite shows, even though it isn't exactly like the character, is The Arrow, right? Good first few seasons
Mm-hmm.
were phenomenal. Unfortunately, they had to borrow a lot
Yeah.
of Rogue Gallery from Batman and like Teen Titans and things. And obviously they
Yeah.
made Oliver Queen more like Batman. But the thing that I liked about it though was that it was a unique take on him, but it worked. Same with the Flash.
Yeah.
Barry Allen wasn't stereotypically blonde. He had brown hair. And the first few seasons before they all went tits to the wall, because it was obviously it was CW, and they're going to do that. They've done that with Smallville, and even
Yeah.
Smallville was one of the best superhero things for Superman.
Yeah.
As it was so good at the beginning part of it, like you saw that they cared, and that's what I argue. Some Marvel shows from when I've watched them, people will always say they're great, but when I've watched certain ones, I just go, "What's the need? Why is this a thing? Why do we
Are
need
they
this show?"
though? Are they? Like, I only saw more bad reviews on them more than anything.
Well,
I was
maybe
gonna
for
say,
other people,
I,
but for me, arguably speaking, I prefer them over the Marvel shows. The Marvel shows,
yeah,
I've never gotten into them. Like I can't. Like I've tried.
except
I've
for
sat down and was like,
Daredevil and Punisher, and those ain't even MCU. That was Netflix, and like,
exactly. They're the only two ones that I would give a retrable, like, good review of. Every other one, I've never liked. I just think the concepts are horrible. I just think the storytelling doesn't make sense. And when it's the TV show, because they have less of a budget, they're very more sporadic with like fight scenes and stuff. And even at that, sometimes the TV shows are getting more money than the movie, and they still look worse than the movies. So I'm just like, eh. Where, yeah, it looks a bit worse on the DC shows, but they don't try to make it look 10 out of 10 because it's a show. They need to
yeah,
run with a budget. And that's why I'm saying, for me,
yeah,
subjectively speaking, sorry, is that I
yeah.
prefer those shows. Because, like, The Flash, The Arrow, and one of your favorite ones,
Superman,
Superman and
Superman and
Lois,
Lois, it's
um,
really good.
they're all
Too
good.
bad Gotham
Yes.
couldn't have been
We
good.
also know
Too bad God.
we also
Too bad
we
Gotham
also
wasn't
know
good.
DC Legends of Tomorrow was crap. We know this, right? There was a few duds, but there was also a very good few shows. Like I would still class Smallville as a DC show because even though technically speaking it was a CW show, it's DC, and yeah, it's not technically connected to that universe. But it could have finally been like the way they set it up and things. Obviously, they do a few things in that nobody really likes either. But this is what I'm saying. At least they had the fundamentals and foundation at first, and it was
Yeah,
good for a while. Where a lot of Marvel shows, they start bad and end bad. One of the ones that you could always argue, which was a DC show, and I would never like to talk about this fucking show ever, was that god awful weird Gotham Knights thing. Other than that, I can give you the pass on that. I can give you the pass on that and say that was a fucking retrable, terrible show. When it comes to the rest of them, though, yeah,
and
they got
Batwoman.
bad
Don't forget about
halfway
Batwoman.
through. Yeah.
and Batwoman.
Yeah, true, but I keep like hell. The worst part is the Supergirl show. As much it was political, it had decent episodes. Maybe it was bad overall, but it had episodes. I was like, oh, I like this. It's a nice crossover episode. I like the relationship with Barry, like Oliver and
Yeah,
Kara, where you can give it
yeah,
that. When it started introducing DC Legends of Tomorrow, and they started adding in whatever the god awful Batwoman show
yeah.
was, that's when you could be like, then it went shit. But that's what I'm saying. It always starts out good and it becomes shit near the end. And that's okay. As long as you get those first few seasons that you really like, you don't have to watch the rest. You don't need to
Let me
like finish the story because
let me ask
most
you
of the
this.
series finish the story and then it's a new story.
Let me ask you this question. How did you feel about Clancy Brown, aka Mr. Krabs, aka Mr. Lex Luthor in the animated series of Superman? Is one of the mob bosses that's in jail. How do you feel about that? What do you
That was
think
awesome.
his character's where do you think his
That
character's
aspect,
gonna go?
that's what I love, like having weird cameos, like stuff like that people wouldn't even recognize at first. Because it's funny, because what was Mr. Scrab saying? It's all about the money. So he's clearly all about the money,
Money,
but we're in
money, money,
jail.
money, money.
So that's what I'm saying. It's like you could see Mr. Krabs being a dodgy back seller or sitting at the Krusty Krab. You know, like obviously everybody theorizes Krusty Krab burger has got a secret ingredient that everybody seems to think is crab. Ironically, so you never know. Like it would make sense why he's there. This is what I'm saying. Stuff like this is what makes me excited when it comes to superhero shows, where you can theorize, you can enjoy it. There's a
Yeah,
story there to be told. Not
bro. On that, dude. On that, like when I was in my Discord, shout out to the homies and shout out to the GCA Discord. Man, dude, we were like, for once, we weren't complaining about a show. We weren't bitching about a show. We were actually theorizing. Like, we were theorizing, yo, what if they're doing this for this particular thing? Or what are we doing this for this particular thing? Or what are we doing? Yo, man, is like, does he get the top hat? Is he going to meet Bruce Wayne? Things like that, bro. Like, that's how fandom is supposed to be, man. Like we're supposed to be like talking good about things, not always arguing and like going at each other for like the smallest stuff or whatever. And man, dude, I was happy that night, dude. I was so happy that we didn't have to like talk down on shows, dude. We actually had fun and fellowshipping and like doing good things, bro. Go ahead, man. I'm sorry, man. I'm just
that's all
had to
right.
say
It's
that.
completely true though. Like that's the point. It's like for once, the shows have finally came back where you can enjoy a show and theorize. It's like, oh, what's going to happen here? Like, like I would love it, right? If he got the top hat, if he met Bruce Wayne, because then that would be great. Because nobody would think Robert Patterson's going to be in this because they never said, oh, Batman's going to be in this or Robert Patterson's going to be in this. It's just this is the Penguin show. It's set on the Penguin. It's solely focused on the Penguin. But it would be a good like chuck the hat into the bucket, sort of like Robert Patterson just cameoed on a TV show. Like whoa. Since
Yeah,
he's not really done a lot of TV. Like he has done TV, but he's mostly done movies. So one, it would be good for him for that sort of exposure, and two, it would be really good for the story because it would make
yeah,
sense for him to then, going into the Batman 2, being like, I need to keep an eye on this guy. And so then
yeah,
in Batman 2, there's the premise of, he might start off with investigating more into him, but then another
yeah,
big bad comes in, and then, he
yeah,
has to switch his target. But whilst in the background of all of this, he's up to no good. And it gives you that double layer of like,
yeah,
oh shit, it's not just singularity like The Dark Knight or The Dark Knight Rises or, all the other Batman movies where there's maybe like one or two villains and that's about it. Like you
yeah,
could set it up so you can have multiple villains at the same time. And then obviously that's what maybe convinces him to get a sidekick. He's like, shit, there's so many enemies
yeah.
out here.
There's too
I
many
need
people.
backup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
And
this.
obviously he
Oh, go
decides
ahead.
that he might look for a sidekick, but he doesn't really he fights with the idea. So then he's like, you know what, I'm gonna go to the circus, take my mind off of everything. Boom, flying Graysons. Boom. perfect, Robin. There you go. It's that the stepping stones to get to these levels are there. I just hope they
Yeah.
take them. But for me going forward with this show, once episode 2 drops, so obviously we'll give you a good review on that one too. Um, I feel like I can't wait for the next episode. The only issue is that they're doing it old school style, which I don't mind doing old school style. The only downside is
10,
that you have to fucking wait so long, and you're like, "Come on, I need to know what happens in the story,"
29,
and then
man.
you have to
It
wait for
drops on
so
the
long.
29th.
Oh, 29th.
Yeah, it just
Oh, only
drops
a
on
few days
September the
away.
29th. I know, but like a lot of people are mad because they were thinking that we are gonna get an episode this Thursday. We're like, nah, they're gonna be recording every Sunday. I'm like, I can't wait that long. Come on, man. Like, I hate
That's what
this.
I'm saying. Like, the one thing I will give it is like it's old school television. You're getting to see it every Sunday. It's like old school TV when you used to have to run back, like run to the toilet, get your stuff, run back before the break ends, and then sit and watch it again. But that's what I like about it.
Yeah,
The plus side, though, if you don't pay for it, if you pay for the ad-free version, you don't need to watch ads. So that's the plus side. But the only
yeah,
issue is waiting that long sometimes, especially with people's attention spans and the way their brains work these days, they forget what happened in the first
dude.
episode, have to go back, rewatch that again, watch the second one, and then they're already behind because everybody else has already been talking about it.
Yeah, man. Like, it's like I said, like, as far as what you were talking about not too long ago, now, me personally, this is just me personally. I don't think like Robin and them is coming to this universe due to like, you know, since they want to have a bad family in the DCU. I just don't see it happening. I could be wrong though. I could be wrong, whatever. I'm just
To
saying,
be
like, I'm
fair,
just
I
going based off
hope
of,
you're wrong because if anything
yeah,
deserves a Bat Family, it's this one. The other one,
yeah,
I'm severely fucking panicking for. I do not care if it's, oh
yeah,
my god, it's James Gunn. I don't give a shit. No. The
yeah,
fact that you're starting with Damien and we have not seen any other live action Robin's bar one, which was Dick, and it was how many years ago? And you're already going to jump to that one and have an existing Bat Family and Batman's going to be older?
yeah,
What? No, no, thank you. I want to see this one. This makes sense to have a Robin. He's early in age, so he should be there. If you remove that
yeah,
aspect, then I'm going to be like, it's overall good. I will still enjoy it, but to me, it won't be as good. But I'm not
yeah.
going to write it
That's true.
down
I
because
mean,
of that. I'll just say that it's not for me in that regard.
yeah. No, that's what I just keep on saying. Like like I know I said this to RJ. I know I said this to like Jacob and everybody. I know I'm the only one on this island and everything, but I just keep on saying like I personally don't see it either because we just know what Warner Brothers is. Like because the fact that because like I think because they don't want to go have a competition with Batman versus another Batman type of thing. Hence, like I just believe that they're going to make Matt Reeves kind of speed up his stuff so they can do their stuff. That's how I see it and everything.
Hopefully they
Yeah,
don't do that. But
yeah,
overall, what I'm going to say is, what would I rate this episode? I'd give it a solid 9 out of 10. Like, ironically, like, for a beginning of a show, it was actually really good, and there was not much I could falter. A lot of what happened within the episode itself, Oswald, recruiting a younger member, screwing over the Falcone family,
oh girl
messing with
that's
the
in
daughter.
charge of the daughter that's in charge of the family now,
Yeah.
like she's cuckoo dog. Like
Mhm.
oh boy, man, dude,
Exactly.
she's nuts.
And the whole like giving them the big fu, by like cutting off the finger, using Maroney's ring, giving him the credit. It just goes to
Yeah,
show you how cold and meticulous and actually how intelligent Oswald is for a change, instead of him
yeah.
being a blubbering idiot that somehow automatically becomes smart in like 2 minutes.
I'm
So
never.
so for me, like it's a solid 9 out of 10 because of these reasons. Like all the
Mhm.
things that happened within this show makes me excited for episode 2. And when episode 2 drops, you can make sure we're covering it because I want to see what happens. I want to watch all of this. Hopefully, we enjoy all of it. Me and Danny have both got our hats off, and we trust them. So hopefully they don't screw us over with like every other company at the minute, because if so, then I would really be annoyed. So fingers crossed. So how about you, Danny? What are you rating this episode?
a lot of people gave like a lot of people in the Discord that I'm in like funny enough they said it's an 8 out of 10. Well, I'm gonna
Mhm.
be a little bit different. I'm gonna give this one a 9 out of 10. Actually, probably like a 9.5 out of 10 because like I mean, literally, dude, like it gave me every. I always tell people, and I always told you guys this: if you give me what I want, and like ignore all the political slash like gay ass shit and everything. Like I don't care. I don't care. Like you give me what I want, I'm gonna give you a good grade. And hey, you got a good grade, so like don't mess it up. That's all I'm gonna say. Like just do what you're doing right now, Matt Reeves. Like do what you keep on doing or whatever. I like this so far. Like it's giving me that
So
old school
far,
television vibe.
as we can see, you have redeemed yourself for being put on that terrible show, that you had to put your name on, that we shall not have to talk about
What
again.
the? Hey man, like
Shut.
hold on, like I gotta watch the whole. I have to watch the whole entire Penguin before I just wipe away his sins like that. Like listen,
That's what I'm saying. He's not clear just yet, but he's gone to a good start.
he got on a good start. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's got a good start.
Anyway, I have been Kanan Wolf. That has been MMA King Crease Jr. And if you liked the video, if you want to see more, press the like button, press the subscribe button, and at the end of the day, we shall see you in the next video.